Welcome back, Knicks fans. Wanted to do a quick recap of today's game. I wasn't able to catch the first 5 minutes of this game. However, I did catch basically the rest of the game. And really, the story of the game was the Indiana Pacers made the threes, and the New York Knicks did not make their threes. And we also got off to a slow start on the offensive end. We started off 11-0, and then essentially have been trying to catch up the whole game. And so our defense really wasn't good enough to help get us over the hump. And our offense wasn't really efficient enough throughout the whole game to really help us get over the hump. And so that's pretty much the story of the game. On the offensive end, the Knicks basically they shot 36 of 87, scored 98 points, but they only shot 41% today. They only shot 5 of 24 from 3 for 21%. The Pacers shot 16 of 41 from 3 for 39%. So that's pretty much what happened this game. Especially their big man Evan Turner got really hot. He made 7 threes today. He was just hitting everything. And so it was just a really big problem for us. We really struggled with that. And I kind of blame basically the guard's inability to keep drivers out of the paint, opposing team guards out of the paint. It's been a real struggle for the team. We're doing a good job rotating to help these guards, but the problem then becomes like today, then you have Mitch Robinson has to leave to help or had to sag off his man to help, and then they basically pass the ball out to Evan Turner, and Evan Turner splashing threes because Mitch Robinson needs to run from the paint and run all the way out to the 3 point line to basically now defend Evan Turner. The other problem we run into also is like every time we're doing with all this rotating and Mitchell Robinson just helping everyone out, it's like it always leaves other offensive players, opposing team offensive players, basically open to grab the rebounds. So it's been a real struggle the last few games for the Knicks to close out defensive possessions with the rebound, and it's just because they keep breaking down our defense, and then when Mitchell Robinson goes to help, there's no one to get the rebound. If that's what's going to happen, then the rest of the team needs to do a much better job, basically hitting the glass and rebounding. I have to say it, although I've been a huge fan of the way RJ Barrett has been playing lately. However, RJ Barrett although it was decent, he had 5 rebounds today, but there was a few possessions where I remember one specifically where basically not out of the game yet. This was might have been in the fourth quarter, and the big men are battling in the paint. I think it might have been either Julius was battling with Sabonis, or it might have been Mitchell Robinson. No, I'm sorry. It was Nerlens Noel battling with Sabonis. RJ Barrett was basically stood there, maybe like 1 or 2 feet away, just kind of like staring at him with his hands up, and he was flinching like he was about to get hit. He was close enough to the action to get involved, but far enough not to get hit. But he's like flinching like somebody's about to hit him. It was actually pretty comical to see it. I was like, RJ, what are you doing? Get in the damn game. Go help your buddy out, strip the ball or something. However, I don't want to beat up on RJ. He actually played a pretty solid game. He helped keep us in this game. He's actually becoming a very special player. The fact that he's starting to finish in the paint now has really helped his game a whole lot. And also today was pretty tough. He didn't get a lot of foul calls. I felt like there was a lot of he finished through contact a lot of time and didn't get calls. And there was a couple of times where he was fouled and they didn't call it and he missed the layup. There was a couple of times during the game where he just flat out there was a floater he missed in the paint, but he can't be perfect all the time. But I'm just really happy he's starting to finish in the paint a lot better. When we take a look at the advanced analytics, it gives us a little more insight. Right now, we just want to focus on the team as a whole and how the team performed as a whole. And so right here, offensive rating was only 102. That's not very good. Defensive rating was 114, which wasn't great either. The defensive rating, to me, decent. I'm not sure what the league average is, but I would think your team want to be at least 108 or around 108, 109. But we weren't able to really get there. We've been really struggling with our defense. We've been struggling with the defense for like more than half the games we've played so far. It's just a lot of the games we've been able to get over the top because we've had some we have some really good offensive players, and we've been pretty prolific from the offensive end. But now with things slowing down, with the guards not, they weren't hot today. Evan Fournier was 5 of 11, or right, yeah, he was five of 11. It wasn't too bad on the offensive end. However, he wasn't like really, it wasn't prolific. It wasn't anything to, it wasn't enough to really get us over the hump. And Kemba Walker struggled today. I don't. Kemba Walker made only 2 shots and missed all his 3 pointers today. And so, and when you get that small of a production from your starting backcourt, and then you're basically a rotating door for defenders, it's just not going to go very well for your team. And so the other thing I wanted to kind of look at, I wanted to look at each individual players and their contribution to the game. We're going to start off with the starting off today from the advanced analytics to look at each of the individual players. So today, actually, this is actually the regular box score. Let's get that up. Where's the advanced analytics? That's not it. Let's try this one. And that's not it. I'm sorry, give me a second, folks. Not sure why this thing has disappeared on me. That's right. Let's start with the regular box score first and look at each individual player's contribution to the game. What we're looking at, obviously, is offensive efficiency, total number of points scored, and rebounding. And also, we're going to look at turnovers. But those are the most important things I kind of want to focus on because I feel like those are the stats that shows the biggest impact on the game. And so, RJ Barrett, he actually played a really solid game. He was actually a lot more, it felt like he was a little more efficient than the stats showed. It was really as the game got out of hand, and with about 2 minutes to go, they were down double digits, and so he was forced to just heave up a lot of shots, and also forced to go to the basket. He had like a drive to the basket where it felt like he got fouled, but they didn't call it. So I'm not gonna, his efficiency. I didn't think, although it was only 40%, it was actually at 50% most of the game. And if the game was a little closer and he was a little more deliberate and with his attempt, he would have been a lot more efficient. But not too worried about RJ. 23 points. Like I said, most of the game, his efficiency was pretty high. It was just with 2 minutes to go, they had to start heaving up shots at that point just to try to get closer because they were down by 14 at that point. So he went 8 of 20, 40% from the field, 2 of 6 from three. And free throw is the one thing I'm worried about. He needs to work on his free throw. I think he's shooting around in the low 70s this year, and so he really needs to focus more when he's at the line and take advantage of the free throws because he's going to start getting to the line a lot more because he's becoming more aggressive since he started making his layups. He had 5 rebounds, but I kind of felt like he could have done more on the board. The guards need to do a lot better rebounding going forward because if you have Mitchell Robinson rotating away from the paint all the time because the defense gets broken down and he needs to rotate and help other defenders help the other I'm sorry yeah help other defenders or help on people that are driving in the paint. He goes up for a block or goes to cut to deny a pass to another deny the lane from another defender. Somebody's got to step up to help basically get the rebound once there's a missed shot. And so a lot of times he would help and do a great job. There's a missed shot, and there's nobody there to get the rebound for the New York Knicks. And it's like they want him to stop everyone, and then also they want him to get the rebound. So that's not possible. And so that's where I think RJ can step up and help a little more with the rebounding. Like I said earlier, there's one instance where he just stood there and stared at Nerlens Noel battling uh, with the big guy for the Pacers, Sabonis. And he just stood there. He was only like 2, 3 feet away, and he just stood there and watched him, didn't get involved. And of course, the Pacers were able to come away with the ball. And so we just need more help from the guards and forwards with rebounding. Julius Randle, not a very efficient game. I kind of felt like he forced some shots. There was one that I remember. He took a baseline fadeaway with 2 men on him. I didn't think that was a really good idea. A really great shot. However, I just, it didn't feel, for some reason, this game didn't feel as bad as the previous game. I felt like also his defensive effort was better. His defense, it felt like it was much better today. It looked much better. It seemed like he was hustling. He was helping his teammate out. And I also kind of liked his posture a lot more today. Although he wasn't playing very well, he wasn't playing a great game, and we weren't having him shooting well. I really liked his posture today. He was a lot more upbeat, and he was just trying out there, especially on the defensive end. So I'm not even really going to try and kill Julius Randle or even try to be too critical of him today. He went 6 of 8 from the free throw line and 70. So that can be a little better. But like I said, he wasn't very efficient. Only 38% from the field. He scored 18 points. But he did the best he can to help the team in other ways. 14 rebounds overall. 5 of them was offensive, and none was defensive rebounds. And it's extremely important. The defensive rebound is the most important. Is one of the most important stats. It's like one of the. If you look at all the stats, and if you look at the stats on the box score, and you look at the relationship between these stats and the team's win percentage, it's your field goal. Is how efficient are you? Your field goal percentage, your defensive rebounds, and field goal percentage, defensive rebounds. Those are the most important, two of the most important stats. You look at that. Basically, that shows basically that has the biggest impact on winning. It is, and so that's why rebounding. The reason why it's important, obviously, if the lower your rebounding numbers are, defensive rebounding numbers are, that means number one, the offensive team, your opponent is efficient on the offensive end and is scoring on you. Number two, it could also mean that you're not getting the rebounds that you need to get in order to close out the possession. And so it's a little bit of both today for the Knicks. The Pacers were a little pretty efficient. They weren't world beaters or anything. However, they were efficient enough on the offensive end, but also they were able to get some offensive rebound against us. We struggled closing out some of the possessions. We improved that in the second half of the game as the game got along later in the game. However, we kind of struggled with it throughout the game. It's just something we need to work on. Now, Mitchell Robinson had a pretty decent game on the defensive end. He was pretty good. There's other guys that are better at analyzing these games, like especially play by play and trying to figure out exactly what the team was trying to, what they were trying to accomplish on the defensive end, and then figuring out whether or not if each player is actually meeting their, doing their job. But however, I feel that it's from looking at the game. I feel that he did a really good job. He really did a good job today, and he tried his best. It seems like he's really hustling a lot out there. He's doing basically rotating out to help his team out if they get beat off the dribble. Also to try to help protect the paint. So I felt like he had a great game on the defensive end. Offensive end, he didn't have a lot of opportunities. I think the only shot that he made was off of I think he was off of a offensive rebound, and so it just the Knicks have a lot to work on. But he is the one person I feel like not only is he an effective defender, he's playing the hardest. He's been the most consistent defender on the team this whole year. Evan Fournier, 5 of 12 from the field, 42% from the field. Wasn't great. He was 1 of 5 from three, and so he struggled from three today. Only 14 points. So he wasn't extremely efficient. Still needs to, he tried a little more defensive end today. It was a little better. However, it is what it is. He would never be, I don't know. Let me rephrase that. I don't know if he's ever going to be an above average defender. All we're hoping for with Evan Fournier, we're just really hoping like his rating, he can maintain a rating of maybe like 110. If we can get him to a rating of like 110, 111, I think that'll be tolerable and that'll be okay. Kemba Walker, he struggled today on the offensive end and also on the defensive end. It just, it wasn't terrible, However, it wasn't great either. Like I said, with these two guys, Evan and Kemba, they try, they're trying, and but they're still sort of like rotating doors. Like because of these two guys, we're constantly getting people driving to the lane. Unfortunately, we just don't do a good enough job keeping people out of the lane. I'm not saying there's defenders that can keep these NBA guards out the lane. A lot of them, a lot of the NBA guards can get into the lane as well at will. But the problem is just sort of being able to stay with your man and being able to like even when that guard gets inside the lane, still being able to guard, play defense on your man and either force a bad shot or basically you want to be able to hold your own throughout a possession. And unfortunately, these guys right now, I just don't feel like they're doing a great enough job really holding their own. But it wasn't terrible today either. But when you're having a terrible offensive game, when you're not having a very good offensive game, and then you're not playing, and you're playing subpar defense, it just becomes a problem for your team, and your team is not going to be able to sustain. Um, you know, we're just not going to be able to win a lot of ball games if they're playing subpar defense and then they're struggling on the offensive end. That's just the truth. So Nerlens Noel, he had a pretty solid game, first game back, but wow, it's just amazing. The combination of him and Mitchell Robinson is just amazing that we have both of these guys on the same roster, and both of them I think are defensive player of the year candidates, and both of them are on the same team, and so he had a great game for his first game back. He was 1 of 2 from the field, scored only 2 points, but he did have one nice assist to Obi Toppin. It was allowed, so that was really nice to see. And then also he had 6 rebounds. He had 6 rebounds, 3 defensive, 3 offensive rebound. So it was really interesting to see. With the second team, it's like the defense is just better on the second team, right? And we'll kind of get into that more. But obviously, it was a lot. The second team defense was a lot more better today, and it was a lot more better today because Nerlens Noel was there now to help anchor the defense as a big man. Derrick Rose played a much better game today. Shot 46% from the field. That's pretty decent, a little above average for an NBA player. So can't be too mad at that. That was a decent game. 0-1 for 3. He's been struggling from the 3-point range for the last 3 games, and so he was 0-1 today. 3 of 3 from the free throw line. He had a pretty decent game today, and he had 13 points. And rebounds, he had 2 rebounds. Hopefully it would have been nice he had 4. But I think a lot of the issues we're having is it's not really just rebounding. I think that's a little bit of it is really basically playing defense and like forcing the other team into bad shots, and making them play a low, have a low percentage shooting night. But his defense, when he's on the court, on the floor, his defense is good. Is really good. Alec Burks, 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. He actually had a pretty solid game today, and like I said, he was 3 of 6 for a total of 10 points, and shot 50% from the field. Only had about 2 rebounds today, 3 assists, and so him and Derrick Rose played pretty solid game. When our backup guards and forwards are in the game, they play pretty well. They do a really good job. Uh, Obi Toppin played a pretty solid game today, 3 of 3. His defense was okay. He had 7 points and only 2 rebounds. And so he probably could have done a little better rebounding, but that second unit didn't really struggle. I didn't feel like they really struggled rebounding the ball. So they play solid. So and I didn't really see any Obi Toppin do anything really egregious on the defensive end. I don't think he really missed any assignments really. So he did a pretty decent job. Uh, Emmanuel quickly played 14 minutes, a little more minutes than normal that he's been getting this season. And I think one of the reasons why he's getting more and more minutes is because of the defense. Although he's struggling on the offense, he's actually one of probably the best of all the guards we have getting playing time. That's on a rotation. It's crazy to think, but Emmanuel quickly is the best defender out of all the guards we have playing right now. He's definitely better than Evan Fournier, better than Kemba Walker. He's better than Rose on the defensive end. And Alec Burke has been playing pretty good defense as well, but I want to say he's probably better than Alec Burks as well. So that's just my opinion, but he's really looked good on the defensive end. And that's why you're seeing his minutes slowly start to creep up. Because it's like, the coach, he can tolerate, sort of like him missing shots because he's actually having a big impact on the defensive end. So he was 2 of 5, 40%, only scored 4 points. Didn't get to the line today. He did try to draw some fouls, but he wasn't very successful and had 2 rebounds. Again, the second unit, I didn't really see that they had much of an issue rebounding the ball. It seemed like their rotation was actually much better, and they were able to basically box out. There's a few possessions where, like when the shot went up for Indiana, like I think every man on the second unit basically was bodied up to someone, body someone up, and so they've been doing a great job, basically, especially with Newman's back now. They did. I really felt like they did a great job today. And so Taj Gibson didn't really play today. Of course, you got Nerlens Noel back, and so that was pretty much it. All these guys didn't play at all today. Of course, Quentin Grimes, Kevin Knox, McBride, and Sims. In my opinion, I'm looking at Grimes here. In my opinion, a lot of people are talking about like McBride getting playing time because we're struggling with the defenders. In my opinion, I'm really looking at Quentin Grimes. To me, he's the one that I think that may start getting, that the coach should consider playing a little more. He's a good shooter. He's not afraid to shoot, right? And he's a decent ball handler, especially now if you have R.J. Barrett playing the way he's been playing. R.J. Barrett is a better facilitator and a better shooter now. Grimes is a pretty good shooter, and so I think he'll help basically stretch the floor as well. But on top of that, he's a really good defender, and so I'm kind of curious. I'll be interested in seeing if the coach plays Grimes a little more. If it's not Grimes, it's possible maybe McBride. It depends who comes out of that starting lineup, right? And I'm not sure who it's going to be. However, I think it's more likely going to be the person who loses more minutes from the starting lineup I think it's going to be Evan Fournier. The reason why I think it's going to be Evan Fournier is because him and RJ sort of serve the same purpose, right? They sort of play the same way on the offensive end. Both of them are pretty solid shooters. Both of them have pretty good ball handling skills, and they can basically break down the defense and get in the lane. However, driving, R.J. Barrett is stronger going into the paint and going at the rim. Evan Fournier, as we've seen the last few games, when you body him up and you're playing physical, sometimes he struggles with his handle. And although he played better today, and was able to try to, although they played him physical, he still was able to make some shots in the paint today. But I kind of feel like just the defense, the issues we're having on defense, you kind of have to figure out who do you want to reduce minutes in the starting lineup. And I have the feeling maybe Evan Fournier, because we get the same thing. If you take Evan Fournier out of the lineup and do something a little different, you're not going to really miss what he gives you that much, because you get like the playmaking from RJ, right? All that happens is RJ Barrett gets a little more basically his usage rate might go up a little bit more. And so that's what I think that may happen in terms of the coach trying to do something to fix the defense. So looking at the advanced analytics here, it just kind of gives you a pretty decent idea of what happened today. I think we saw it briefly earlier. The team basically, the rating was on offensive rating was 102, defensive rating was 114. But looking at each player and the advanced analytics, obviously R.J. Barrett offensive rating of 90, defensive rating was 110. So this wasn't very good. Obviously, that was because his shooting percentage was pretty low today. And his true shooting percentage, like the two previous games, one was 76% and another one I think the last game might have been like around 83%. And so this dipped down to 49, which wasn't great, but it's they just had a poor outing on the offensive end. Well, his outing wasn't really poor on the offensive end. It was just towards the end of the game. He just started heaving shots so they can try to at least get back into the game. And so Julius Randle, same rating as R.J. Barrett. Essentially, defensive rating was slightly better, and his rebounding percentage was 23.1. So he basically was responsible for a good portion of the rebounds. Obviously, we saw that previously. However, his true shooting percentage was 46%. Mitchell Robinson true shooting was 79.8. It's he didn't really have any impact on the offensive end. Really, it was just he only had one field goal. They didn't even have any lobs for him. So he just didn't do much on the offensive end for the Knicks today. Evan Fournier, his offensive rating was only about 95, defensive rating 105. So that was good, encouraging to see. However, it didn't really. I don't know if it really tells the whole story, right? Mitchell Robinson was able to help him out with his man, but then Mitchell Robinson suffers, right, because he's helping Evan Fournier out. And then Fournier's man is like missing shots because Mitchell Robinson is out there shadowing and helping. But Mitchell Robinson's man is cutting loose and getting basically easy buckets and putbacks and rebounds and all that stuff. Same thing with Kemba Walker, 106 rating. So it's funny to see that, right? So you can kind of easily tell why these guys have a lower defensive rating than Mitchell Robinson, because Mitchell Robinson was basically helping these two guys out most of the time. Nerlens Noel, offensive rating 125, defensive was 113. He played a very solid outing by Nerlens Noel today. True shooting was 50%. He was one of two from the field. Evan Fournier true shooting was 52%. Mitchell Robinson, like I said, was basically 80%. Trying to see anyone here with true shooting that was a guard above 60. Okay, Alec Burke, his true shooting was 72%. He was he shot 50% from the field and 205 from three. So his true shooting was 72, almost 73%. Bobby Toppin had a true shooting of 90, was basically 90%. Manny Quickly was 40%. The team's true shooting percentage was 49. This is below league average, and the field goal percentage and that was because field goal percentage was only like 41, 42, about 41%, and of course 41% is below league average. I think league average for field goal percentage is like 44%, and so of course when you're shooting that poorly, you're not going to win a lot of ball games, and so that was pretty much the story of the game. Knicks didn't shoot the ball very well. They didn't shoot the ball very well, but the Pacers did. But there was a lot of nice positive to see. We see RJ continue his run, and he's been playing really well, and that it looks like that's going to continue. It's like they can't stop him from getting to the hole, and it's really crazy to see. And even his mid-range pull-up is looking nice now, as you see on that possession. There were times he just took over this ball game. He took over the ball game, and they couldn't do anything with him. Honestly, during this stretch when the Knicks were coming back, and it was because R.J. Barrett was just took over, and the coach basically called a timeout, and the Pacers called a timeout, and the coach basically switched the lineup and pulled R.J. out. I think I would have liked to see the coach leave R.J. out there a little more, although I know they have their set minutes. However, it would have been nice to keep R.J. out there a little more. They couldn't stop him. And, maybe if they would have kept him out there, maybe it would have been better. But it seems like the coach is basically, he just sticks to his rotation and to his plan. So he has a set rotation, and he knows when he wants his players to come in the game. And he switches it a little bit here and there, but it's pretty much the same thing, right? It's pretty much the same. He wants the second unit to come in at certain times of the game, and but like I said, I would have liked to see him keep RJ in there a little more, because the Pacers couldn't stop him, and he was pretty much on fire. And it felt like we kind of shot ourselves in the foot and he shot the team in the foot by by making a change there, and like it felt unnecessary to make that change. And I don't think RJ was tired, and so in some ways it's you kind of have to put that on the coach as well. And but we'll see what happens going forward. We'll see what they do about their defense, especially with the guards. And the offense is also stagnated, so we'll see what changes they make on the offensive end as well. Hey, if you guys like what I talked about today, like the content, please like, subscribe, comment. I'll be more than happy to respond to your comments below. I really appreciate it. You guys can also share the channel with anyone so I can get more viewers. And really appreciate you guys checking it out.